We are hopeful that everyone is going to be able to join us tonight, but just in case someone is not and would like to hear what we have spoken about. Just want to make a quick note about the Convocation Council voting. In the past, when we have done votes for the Convocation representative to diocesan council, it has been all lay and clergy delegates who have voted. With our new canons that we passed last year at convention, that is a change. So each congregation that comes to Convocation Council shall have a maximum of 2 votes, 1 clerical and vote and 1 lay vote from each delegation. So if you are at a congregation that has multiple clergy, you will have to decide which one of you is going to be the one sharing your vote. For our lay delegates, please decide which one of you is going to be the one doing the vote for who will be joining the Convocation Council on your behalf. This was something that was brought forth actually by one of our congregations with multiple clergy, understanding that we didn't want those congregations to have sort of an unfair representation in voting for their Convocation Council representative. So we're grateful to be trying this year. If you happen to be a clergy person who is serving at more than 1 parish, you only get to vote at 1 parish. You can't vote for both parishes. So you can decide which one you're going to put your vote in for. So we'll remind you of that one more time before we head into the voting later in the meeting, but just wanted to highlight that. So we are here in preparation for our 202nd convention of the Episcopal Diocese of Georgia. We are required by our canons to have this Convocation Council meeting between 40 and 30 days ahead of convention. It is 36 days before convention, so we are very excited to be able to gather to have this time together. Just a reminder that convention will be in Augusta this year from November 9th through 11th. The convention website is live. You can go there to register if you have not. If you have not, please do go register. Please go ahead and grab your hotel room if you are going to stay in one of our convention hotels. That's all available on the convention website. Convention will begin on Thursday, November the 9th. We'll have registration and evening prayer at the Church of Our Savior in Martinez. If you're new to Georgia, yes, I said Martinez. That's how we pronounce it here. We are very grateful to Our Savior for hosting us for evening prayer that evening at 5:30. The business of convention will take place at the Episcopal Day School, which is right next to the Church of the Good Shepherd in Augusta. Will be hosted in their gymnasium. We promise we're not going to make you play dodgeball. It's going to be a very calm, easy time. We're excited to be having it there. That evening on the Friday of convention, we will have our convention Eucharist at 4 p.m. at St. Paul's in downtown Augusta. So we'll gather together for a festal Eucharist, followed by a reception with heavy hors d'oeuvres. And then following the reception, for those who would like to stay, we will be screening a brand new film called The Philadelphia 11. We're really excited to be one of the first dioceses that is able to share this film. It is the story of the first women to be ordained in the Episcopal Church in 1974 at the Church of the Advocate in Pennsylvania. So please do plan to stick around. You can pile up your plate with your hors d'oeuvres and sit down and watch a really thoughtful and prayerful documentary about this wonderful event. Thank you to all those who have made it possible for this to happen at our convention. It's really an honor to be able to do that together. And then we will continue our convention on Saturday back at Episcopal Day School in the gym for our voting and the final bits of business. So we really look forward to seeing you. Our theme is Kindle Our Hearts and Awaken Hope, taken from one of our collects from evening prayer. We are really eager to spend time together thinking about the ways, learning about the ways, dreaming about the ways, and being open to the ways that the Holy Spirit is moving in our hearts right now, in a very particular time in the history of the church and of the diocese. So please come with your hearts open and your ears open and your minds open, and we will do the same. And we look forward to seeing you all then. Thank you. You're muted, Canon Easterlin.
Thank you, Canon Lush. Would we like to additionally share the website just really briefly so folks can see where they can locate some resources? Wonderful. So I'm going to stop share real quick and show everyone. We have a website available for folks to, let's see if this did not go where I wanted it to. Y'all can see all my spam mail. That's my account where I get, all my ads and discounts too. Everybody has one of those. It doesn't get the real mail. So this is the Episcopal Diocese of Georgia website. At the very top, we have a tab that will bring you directly to our convention landing page. And on the home page, this is where, if you haven't registered as a delegate yet, you can go ahead and complete that registration. And it also has links to our hotel options. So this is just a gentle reminder and plug for you all to make those hotel reservations. We have blocks at these hotel rooms that are listed. I believe the Partridge Inn is already full for our block, but we do have these two other hotels available. So they fill up fast. Go ahead and make sure that you're planning for that. As we get more information, the book is developed, as well as our nominations are finalized. They will be listed here so you can access them. So this is a great place as you are preparing over the next month or so to be in Augusta. Just check in. We'll also make announcements, and from the field, as well as our communications director, Liz Williams, will be sending out convention-specific updates to you all in communication form. One of the reasons why we have you register separately instead of your church registering you all in a pool is so we have your email address and we can directly communicate to you with resources and helpful updates in anticipation of that event.
And to help us, so we have your cell phone number so we can hopefully make voting a little bit more easy. And Leslie Dellenbarger just put in the chat that Spring Hill Suites is also full. So if you want to get one of those Home 2 Suites rooms in our block with a good rate, go do that right now, or maybe in 25 minutes when we're done.
I was about to say, because the scintillating budget presentation is coming up, so pause at least for that. So my job today, and one of the requirements in preparation for convention, is to present a draft of the diocesan and Honey Creek budget. As a reminder, our canons procedurally require this document to start in development with diocesan leadership. It then goes in front of the finance committee to go through a detailed review and adjustment. It is then endorsed by that body to go to diocesan council, which they recently reviewed at their last meeting. And then council endorses and votes to approve the budget with any amendments to come to convention. And you all, as delegate and voting clergy members, are the ones who receive that presentation at convention and vote to approve the final version or amend that budget on the floor. So our usual practice during this meeting is to give you kind of a high-level overview of what to expect with the budget. It will be available in detail on the website early next week for you to see those draft versions, as well as in the book when you receive that, both at convention and also on the website. We'll have a narrative budget, so it will go into detail of the different categories that you can see outlined to fully understand the purpose and intent of each of the items that we showcase. So looking first at the diocesan budget, We are continuing, as are many of our congregations, to find creative and unique ways to balance our budget in pressing times. Income is relatively flat from last fiscal year, but I think the key message here is it's not keeping up with inflation. And this is an indication of the impact of our congregations. The way we calculate our assessments, our tithes from our congregations is a fixed percentage from you all on a rolling 3-year average. So it's really dependent on how you all as congregations are functioning and what's going on within your own communities. So we certainly know some of the challenges that you all are facing. What that has meant is while we are seeing a flat figure each year, that means that it's reduced spending power year over year. That money does not go as far and is not as worth as much this year as it was last year with that inflation. On a positive note, the endowment fund for the Diocese of Georgia continues to perform well and really bolsters budgetary needs. So that is something that is encouraging. And I know for our congregations that have endowment funds, that plays a role in their budgets as well. But overall, we are down close to 1% compared to last year's revenue. On the expense side, we are making no changes to our missional support outside of the diocese. So that means our contributions to Province 4, our companion diocese in the Dominican Republic, as well as some universities that we provide support to. Because our income has remained flat, that means our assessment to the Episcopal Church is also flat for this year. Our calculation is a little different than the assessment that you all participate in with the diocese. Ours is based off of the prior year, so just one fiscal year, and it is a 15% calculation as opposed to a 10%. And then off the top, when they're making that calculation, they also subtract $200,000 valuation to help aid in some of our smaller dioceses to support the cost of maintaining a bishop. So because we've seen very nominal changes in our tithe contributions, that figure is the same as it was the prior year. We are providing a small COLA, which stands for cost of living adjustment, for salaries of diocesan staff, but this figure is certainly not in line with inflation that occurred last year or is anticipated for the coming year. Balancing the budget required us to make some hard decisions in certain areas. One of the areas we've been trying to steadily increase is our Congregation for Mission Development. This is an area where we can provide grant support through the work of Ken and Lash and direct partnership with our congregations, whether they're in times of transition or potentially emergency need or growth. We've seen some really fruitful outcomes of those grants as we've provided them during those time periods. And historically, we had more money available here to provide. And one of the things we're really trying to do is make sure that as much as possible, we're getting that support back out all to you all. Now, it wasn't a significant decrease, but it was an area where we were unable to keep raising that support. So we are looking at continued opportunities, whether that's through the Episcopal Church or other foundations to see what grants are available that can pass through the diocese and on to our congregations. Oftentimes we have outreach from our church of available grants. So we strongly encourage you all to reach out to Canon Lash and myself as you identify them. We are always available to aid in the support of applying for those and are eager to help you all do so. The other big item that I know a lot of churches have already reached out to, and we certainly are feeling the impact in our own budget, is that insurance costs have increased dramatically this year, particularly as it pertains to property and casualty insurance. For the diocesan budget, our premium increased around 30%. I know for some of our congregations, it's as high as 40%. There are several key drivers that are leading to this increase, and I've provided some updates related to that to our clergy as well as senior wardens in a direct communication. I've also offered myself to vestry meetings if there are further questions related to that. But if you have any questions, please reach out to your rector or your senior warden. They have received that communication. We're also going to continue to provide any information that we receive from church insurance. But there is quite a bit of data underlying how that is being impacted in 2024. The other increase that we're seeing is an 8% increase in health insurance. Health insurance costs across the nation continue to skyrocket and are a pain point for our churches as they seek to hire full-time and even part-time clergy. We know the challenge that this cost presents, but healthcare costs continue to rise. We are not the only industry that is seeing this cost, and our 8% increase is in line with the national increase. We have been far below the national increase for the past several years. So this is the first year in 8 years that we are in line with the national percentage increase. So I know that this is painful for our budgets, but I'm happy to discuss any concerns that you all might have related to this. And we also have some exciting developments around health insurance that we've been communicating as well in terms of the richness of the benefits. But I won't go into detail here. Once I'm done,
sorry. Oh, I was going to say,
yes.
You've got a question in the chat.
Yes, I was going to say, once I go through the budgets, I'm going to open the floor for you all to ask questions. Please feel free to place those in the chat. Canon Lash will monitor that, and we'll get to each of those questions towards the end. Thank you, Canon Lash. On the Honey Creek budget, we've got a bit of a different story here. You can see I wrote, return to normal continues to be a challenge. And what do I mean by that? I'm really looking at the direct impact that the pandemic has had on Honey Creek operations. If you look back to 2019, Honey Creek had done some diligent and hard work to become a well-balanced, self-sustaining mission organization of the diocese. And we announced this year that we are debt-free. The bonds are paid off, which is just a thrilling and exciting place to be at Honey Creek. But challenges still persist. We've done some excellent work, and really this has been driven by the executive director, Dade Brantley, and Georgianne Youngner, of bringing in outside groups to drive that income growth. But our challenge is our Diocese of Georgia groups have not returned to campus in droves. And that outside business is just not enough to sustain Honey Creek. So we really need our congregations and our ministry groups who were regular and thriving clients of Honey Creek to consider coming back to support the Creek. It is there for you and your work in ministry. One of the things that we have done is, as a leadership body, we recently met at Honey Creek with the executive director to discuss an overall strategic plan. So how are we working and engaging with the community to bring business onto campus? So not just within the diocese, but also identifying those groups like a recent state entity that has been using campus 3 times a year, which is wonderful and exciting. And we want to see if there are any other groups who might be interested in using our beautiful space. So know that work is being done on how we look at the future of Honey Creek. On the expense side, because we are down 8.3% in our estimation of incoming revenue for next year, there is no budget available to increase staff at Honey Creek. And what does that mean? Well, the executive director is considered a diocesan employee. So really this budget is reflecting one staff person. In the past, we had 3 full-time staff, as well as contract staff through services. So we're still maintaining that model about expenses related to those contract services are tied to utilization. That was a big shift made several years ago to ensure that our budget was reacting to however many folks we had on campus. And that is a fruitful model for us. But we still need staff to respond to any growth needs that we could see in the future. So we're hopeful that with increased utilization, we can talk about bringing on additional staff. But without participation on campus, it won't be possible. We learned a lot during the pandemic around areas that we can cut quickly on the use of the property and how we engage to adapt to anything that happens during the year. The diocese provided support during the pandemic and the subsequent years in terms of financial aid. We are one joint balance sheet, so their success is tied to us. And in 2022, we were able to really increase that participation to where the diocese provided very little financial support to them. We are seeing a very different story in 2023. And the diocese has had to provide significant financial support to Honey Creek to balance its books. So all is not lost. I know that it sounds like a not as exciting presentation on Honey Creek's side, but I really want to come back to the focus of that overall strategic plan, that we as a diocese are really looking at ways to show that Honey Creek is the parish hall of the diocese, right? It is a holy space that we come to for the life, work, and ministry of the gospel and the Episcopal Church. So go back to your vestries, talk about how you can plan an event at Honey Creek. We're here to serve and are excited about the future. So with that, Ken and Lash, what questions do we have in the chat?
Well, Molly just took a moment to remind us that Curcio had a really large and terrific event at Honey Creek a couple of weeks ago. It was so great to have Curcio back.
Yes.
And it was just such a joy and a gift to be able to have that. So thank you, Molly, for bringing that to our attention. And then the other question that's in the chat currently is, how much money is the 0.8% difference in the diocesan budget from last year?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's about $30,000.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts? major donations you want to make via chat?
Good plug.
Edie, that's a great question. Is there a board of governors for Honey Creek? There is a Honey Creek Commission, which is a diocesan group that works closely with our executive director, Dade Brantley, and with us on diocesan staff. We are always looking for others who are interested in being a part of Honey Creek Commission. They look at things like budget, revenue, and also mission, ministry, exciting new ways to do things differently. So thank you for asking that. That's a really helpful question.
Yes, and I'll just tack on to that. Really, where their focus has been the past year or two is on development opportunities. So, thinking about the Honey Creek Future Fund, they were instrumental in some of the work around the debt reduction. So, really helped communicate the plan around that. Typically, if the question is also related to Board of Governors, the authority around financial transactions and decisions really rests with the Finance Committee, which is at the diocesan level. And that body, they work directly with me and have been up to date on anything that happens at Honey Creek and are a great resource for me as we consider not just strategic planning, but kind of those on the ground operational decisions that we have to make.
Edie has also asked if we are in conversation with other camps for ideas. Yes, our executive director, Dade Brantley, is a member of the Episcopal Camps and Conference Centers group. ECCC gathers in person once a year, but they gather over Zoom and other ways throughout the year. And it's executive directors and staff members and board members from camps and conference centers all across the Episcopal Church, not just in our country, but some that are also in other countries in the Episcopal Church. So it has proven to be a very fruitful place for Dade Brantley. He has had some really good colleague relationships growing through there, and they have shared some really great ideas. It's a real gift for him to have that group to be able to bounce ideas off of and get support from. So thank you.
I will also say some exciting looking towards the future developments are we've been in conversation with Camden County about the development of a community dock for several years now, and are finally getting across the finish line with that conversation. And so we're hoping that work will start in 2024. And what that means is they have standing committee has provided approval for their purchase of 1 acre of land close to the road as you enter in down by the water there at Honey Creek, and a brand new dock and boat launch will be developed, and we will have our own private access point to that dock, which will really enhance services for all our groups, whether they're launching kayaks or looking to go fishing. We're really, really excited about this brand new dock, because for those of you who have been to the creek in recent years, our dock is looking a little weary. So this is a great opportunity for improvement there, and is really due to Honey Creek's hard work of being a member of the community, doing that outreach, staying in touch with what's going on in Camden County. And they were the ones who reached out to us. So we're looking forward to more on that. We're also working on potentially a rather significant grant to create a living shoreline. The past couple of years, we have been working with the Department of Natural Resources to see if we can make that happen. Unfortunately, the last grant we applied for, which was very, very competitive at the national level, we did not receive, but we're going to keep trying, because we really hope that that's also an enhancement to the beautification and also stability of the bank there at the creek. So more to come on developments there.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked if it would be possible to use Honey Creek as a state Boy Scout Jamboree site, or inviting birders to Honey Creek. So yes, we absolutely, we welcome all kinds of groups to Honey Creek and would love for an event like that to happen. The question would be, is it, do we have enough space? There are a lot of Boy Scouts I know that go to Jamboree, but we would certainly be open to that. So if you are someone who has connections to that and would be interested, please do contact Dave Brantley, our executive director. And I've seen lots of fantastic birds. We actually just spotted some cormorants the other day and sent a video to my son. It's his favorite. So there are lots of really great wildlife to see there. And then Val Crumpton's asked how much marketing and promotion has been done for Honey Creek. Is there a person who does it full time? We can answer the second part of that. No, there's not. Dade is our only full-time employee. And again, he is actually an employee of the diocese. Georgianne works full-time and does tons of wonderful things for us. But the marketing promotions is not something that we have full-time. Cannon Easterlin, you and Dade were having conversations recently about marketing and promotions, right?
Yeah, so a couple of years back, we made some significant investment in the rebranding of Honey Creek, as well as the website. So they provided a lot of really wonderful materials and direction on how we can go about that rebranding. And so over the past several years, a lot of what you've seen coming out of Honey Creek in terms of social media or print collateral was driven by that approach. One of the things we've recently talked about is how we can leverage, and this gets into the weeds a little bit, but SEO approaches, which is an optimization of online marketing through ads, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. So even with our limited staff and resources, we can automate some of those efforts to get the word out. We are fairly well known in the community, right? So word of mouth, even though it's old school, it works well for us. But we are stepping back into how can we better market Honey Creek. I know that the redevelopment of the website led to a type of clientele we hadn't experienced before around weddings. And so that book of business has actually increased over the years because they find us online and they see how beautiful the space is. And so we've had a number of weddings over the past couple of years. It wasn't a business we ever expected to see. So I think there are some opportunities for growth there, though. So if you know of any folks with background in marketing or skill set there, we're happy for volunteer support until we can afford, more staff.
Could Scout troops come to Honey Creek and provide labor that would help Honey Creek and also help a Scout get badges and work on their highest honor for Eagle Scout? We actually have a couple of Eagle Scout projects that have been done at Honey Creek over the years. So absolutely. We are working actually right now to bring back an event that we've had at Honey Creek many times over the years, but it's been a while, called Toil and Sweat. Previously, Toil and Sweat has really been focused on bringing youth to Honey Creek to do small projects all around. We are hoping to bring it back, to have that as a focus too, but also to have, we know we have lots of skilled workers across the diocese that can do things from construction to electrical to plumbing. And so to have an all diocese event to come and do some of the work that needs to be done at Honey Creek, that can be done by that. So we will certainly open it up to anyone who wants to come join and roll up their sleeves and work hard. Yeah, Craig, if we market it, people in groups know about it. If we don't market, they don't. Absolutely. And we've really seen that over the past few years with the work that's been done on the website and in social media in particular. And again, in the word of mouth. Yes. And yeah, Molly says, get with Dade to schedule individual small group projects. We have a family that comes every year and has been taking on the ministry of building some of our gathering decks. They have done some really wonderful work across campus. So, if you have a small group that just wants to come and spend some time, building community, or if your team wants to come and do some work, we'd really love that. What is the official name of Honey Creek? Honey Creek is it's Honey Creek, the Episcopal Camp and Conference Center of the Diocese of Georgia, right? Is that but Honey Creek is the official name.
Yes, Honey Creek is the official name, and it's the Camp and Retreat Center.
Retreat Center.
Yeah, Retreat Center. That was a branding change that we actually made when we updated the website, because for conferences there are certain expectations, including strong Wi-Fi, which sadly out in that neck of the woods there is no strong Wi-Fi, no matter how hard we work to find it. So but it is an excellent retreat.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all.
Does that conclude the questions that we had?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And it's not your only opportunity to ask questions. You can always call us or email us if something comes to you at 3 o'clock in the morning that you feel like you want to ask. Don't call us at 3. You can email us at 3. You can call us at 9. So for convention this year, we have only received one resolution. After we've had 2 very busy convention years talking about changes to our Constitution and canons. So everyone just take a real breath and a sigh and know that we're going to not have a whole lot of hard business work to do. So the one resolution we have is a resolution that actually comes from a task group of Diocesan Council. Diocesan Council is the convention in recess. They do the work of convention throughout the year. And over the past 2 years, Bishop Logue has taken on some strategic work with council in looking at several things throughout the mission and ministry of the diocese. Things like the makeup of convention itself and how we will gather in coming years, diocesan assessment, our clergy cottage. And one of the groups took a look at our companion diocese relationship. We've had a relationship with the Diocese of the Dominican Republic for a long time, and we just haven't stopped to take a look at, is that relationship working? Is it something that we have seen through, or is it some work that we can continue to do? So that task group met multiple times, did some really hard work. The Reverend Denise Vaughn of Annunciation of Vidalia was the chair of that task group, and they did some really solid work on this and prayerfully and faithfully considered it. So they have, through that work, determined that the relationship has been mutually beneficial and can continue to be so. So they are bringing a resolution to convention to continue that companion relationship. We have asked that for this resolution, there is a time of continuing it from 2024 through 2028, 5 years. That is solely because we are trying to not do what the church is really good at, which is say, let's do something and then just do it in perpetuity without looking at it again. So we will lean even harder into this companion relationship for the next 5 years. And then at that end of that period of time, review it and see if it is something to continue on. So the language that is before you is the resolution as we have it. It has been approved by the Committee on Constitution and Canons. This is likely the exact language that will come to you. The task group has been given the opportunity to review it and maybe make 1 or 2 small changes, but this is the meat of the resolution that will be coming before you at convention, to say that whereas this has been a wonderful relationship and we think the relationship can continue, we resolve to continue it. You will see this in the convention book that's sent out ahead of time. It will be put on the website ahead of time, but just wanted a chance for you all to look at it now as well. Do we have any questions about that resolution? Concretely, what will this renewed relationship look like? One of the things that we're really hoping for, Craig asked that in the chat, one of the things we're really hoping for is a renewed ability to gather with one another, either going to the Dominican Republic or also bringing people from the Dominican Republic over here. So it's not just one-sided, us going to visit there. It already has looked like a renewed relationship between our 2 bishops. Bishop Logue has had the joy of being in a small group with the Bishop of the Diocese of the Dominican Republic for several years now. So they have worked really hard on that. We have a priest from the Diocese of the Dominican Republic who is now a priest of this diocese. And so they've done some great work together to do that. So so that's the beginning of the concrete. And then part of the renewed relationship is taking time to discern together what that will look like more concretely in the coming years. Not just us deciding we're going to come and do something, but what can we do together? How can our gifts benefit one another?
We also have a question, is there a financial obligation? And the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
We make a $10,000 contribution from the diocesan budget to the Dominican Development Group. Now, the Dominican Development Group is a nonprofit organization that is based in Florida, and they partner with 10 other dioceses and receive financial contributions from each of those dioceses to form their budget. And with that budget, they provide logistic support to groups who go to the Dominican Republic to provide support. So, for example, we have one group that provides at one of our congregations dentistry support. So they could go to the DDG to help with planning, coordination, and implementation of that event on the ground. We actually, the new head of the DDG is a Diocese of Georgia layperson. So they've come into that role, and with this continued relationship, we will continue to commit that $10,000 to their budget.
Thank you all. Okay. I think we are just about ready to move into our small groups.
So just as a reminder, we are going to move into breakout rooms. We have a nifty new feature that we're very excited to show. When we move into the breakout rooms, it will, when I stop sharing the screen here with the presentation, it will list the convocation. So please select your convocation to join that breakout room. As a reminder on the voting, we will have each congregation will have a maximum of 2 votes. So 1 cleric and 1 layperson. So please have that discussion in anticipation of the vote. Canon Lash and myself will join each of the rooms to help facilitate that voting process. We will be using the polling feature in the breakout rooms. As we are only 2 people and there are 6 convocations, we will be going into each of the rooms to support that. So we please ask the deans, as you are able, while you wait for Canon Lash and myself to join your room to facilitate the vote, to please provide any announcements or updates that you have going on in your convocations. And we will be with you as quickly as possible. So with that, any other questions in the chat before we open up the breakout rooms?
I don't see any, and I just want to note and just remind you all that the vote that will be happening tonight is a vote for 1 representative from each convocation to join Diocesan Council. As I said, Diocesan Council acts as the convention in recess. So this person will be the person who goes and represents your group of parishes at a Diocesan Council. The deans have the votes who needs to be voted for in front of them, but just so you know, Albany will be voting for 1 clergy person. Augusta will be voting for a clergy person. And then Central, Savannah, Southeastern, and Southwestern will each be voting for 1 lay person. Every year, if a clergy person rotates off, a clergy person rotates on, or a lay person rotates off, a lay person rotates on. So you all would be just replacing those who have been serving faithfully on council for the last 3 years and are now ready to take a break and let you serve in their stead.